All right, welcome back. You're watching Standpoint here on Morning Prime, and this is the current state of play as far as the doctor's strike is concerned. You heard from the president. Can't pay, won't pay. There is no money to actually make sure that a happy medium is met as far as the doctor's strike is concerned, and the settlement that is ongoing coming to this week as well. It will be the 27th day that the doctor's strikes, all the ongoing health crisis will be, of course, turning out to be the 27th day, as you can see. Babu Owino has said that he's actually going to steamroll a motion in the National Assembly as far as impeaching the CS is concerned because of incompetence. We shall be looking at this as well. Has it gained any traction as far as the motion is concerned? And what is the way forward? You think she should be impeached as far as this crisis is concerned, or we have other confluence of issues around it that are making it complicated as it stands with the CBA not being honored? This is what is in the, of course, the publications that we had as far as politics is concerned. If we may go back as well, just if we may put the cartoons back in full. Also, there is the issue of the UDA and appointment of a chair of KRA and also the board of the board chair of Kenya Power as well. This has drawn a lot of debate as far as UDA party polls elections is concerned, that some of these figures that are considered to be public officers are in contravention of the law, but we've seen both sides pointing different fingers as far as the constitution is concerned. There's no breach of law, there is breach of law. So who is fooling whom? We shall also be deciphering this with our panelists this morning as well. And also the quest for power, as we can see, being depicted here by Gams, that he is a president reaching out for the ultimate power, that is the total power, the total presidency, so to speak, and that is the president who's jumping, hopping and skipping as far as reaching for the power is concerned. We shall be looking at that as well with the panelists. But let me just begin from here with you, Honorable Makali. This particular motion that Babu Owino is attempting to steamroll on the floor of the House, are you aware about it? I know you people are on recess until this next week, or
we are.
Tomorrow. What Senate until tomorrow?
We are resuming tomorrow.
You're resuming tomorrow.
Assembly. You know the bar. Before we come to the Babu Owino motion, I think the statement by the head of state that he can't pay, he won't pay, is unfortunate coming from the highest office in this land. Why am I saying it's unfortunate? Let's look at the facts. The doctors are saying they have 19 items they want considered by the government. 19 items. And they have been discussing these items anytime they go for a meeting. The meeting aborts. Either people walk out of the meeting saying you have to go back because the court has said this. And I think what the government has not done is seriously looked at who are they dealing with. This is a team of experts who are able to sustain this strike for even 2 years without blinking. Why am I saying that? What the government has done, these guys have paralyzed public service, health services completely. As a result of paralyzing those services, the poor Kenyan now are shifted from public hospitals to private hospitals or private clinics. And who is in charge of those private clinics? And who provides services in those public clinics? It's the same doctor, it's the same clinic officer, it's the same lab technician, it's the same nurse who treats people in the public hospitals, who in the evening during their free time moves to private clinics to provide the same services. So these guys are not getting money from the government, but now they're getting more money from the private clinics. Because they're the same people we are seeing. Anytime you move from a public hospital to a private hospital, you found Dr. Kanyi and Dr. Mutua, who is in Kenyatta Hospital, treating you in Nairobi Hospital, treating you in Aga Hospital, treating you in Mat Hospital. To them, actually their business is now booming. Now, a specialist whose business is booming by paralyzing public services, you tell him you don't want to engage them. These guys will be in this strike for 2 years. And what will happen is that Kenyans are going to die and only poor Kenyans who will die. The people sitting in this table, Makali Mulu, Sige, my friend Roku, and Honorable Onyonga, will continue getting services for themselves and for their families. So, this is a very serious matter, and that's why I agree with Babu. Although I don't think he's doing it the right way, because I'm a Ragi member in Parliament. Anytime you want to bring an impeachment motion, first of all, you draw the motion, you get members signing, and once you have enough numbers in terms of signatures, that's the time you talk about your motion. Otherwise, if you have no signatures, you can't talk about a motion. The other thing which you has to bear in mind is that under the Kenya Kwanza arrangement, this docket called Healthy Docket is a Fort Kenya docket. So who is the head of Fort Kenya? That's the Speaker of the National Assembly. That thing must be approved by the Speaker before it comes to the... So Mbabu has a serious handles to this motion. I can tell you for sure. He has to do serious homework before he gets that motion coming to the floor of the House.
So party dynamics will play into this.
Party dynamics will come into play. You are telling myself to sign for killing of my son or my daughter. It becomes very tricky. So even though it's a national interest, I think the best way, and I've said it, and this is public, if you go to all my clips publicly, I've said, if I were the CS Health, I would have said, boss, I think this docket, I'm not managing it as effectively as expected. On that basis, boss, can you transfer me to another ministry? Or if not so, I hand over my resignation letter and say, boss, I think let's have somebody else dealing with this docket. Otherwise, what is going to happen? By chance, if this motion sails through to the plenary, she's going to be dragged through mud to an extent that I don't think she'll ever be a CS in any other place. Because I think people have looked at our performance and are questioning our competence as a CS. And you have had the church talk. It's not Makalimul talking. The church has said they think it's time some of the CSs either be sacked or be reshuffled. Because you might be good in this sector, or you might be very poor in this area, and when you move to another area, you perform better. To me, these are the issues. So, Bob is there saying you come with a motion. I hope that you'll be able to convince the members to sign the motion. First of all, you know, all said and done, he comes from our wing, which we are the minority. So the majority can easily be whipped against signing. So he's likely to start a few signatures and then he gets stuck with the signatures, even before he faces the major handle, which is the Speaker, who is supposed to sign that motion. That's my comment.
So, do you think, Honorable Sige, on this matter, maybe even sacking the CS is just a band-aid solution? There's so much underlying factors within this. Even if you put another CS on it and you're not addressing the real issues, the CS is not the problem, it's the system around it. It is so systemic that we know it is not just beginning this year. It is hailing back maybe even through the previous regime. It is something that has been, because this CBA, when was it signed? When was a contractual agreement actually signed as well? We need to hark back and see in 2018, right? She was not in office. So if you hold her culpable, will that be so unfair?
Thank you, Debal. And I like the candidness of Honorable Makali here in terms of even dealing with that motion. And first, you opened this debate on a very false start, by the way.
A false start?
Can't pay, won't pay. That is what the nation has also said in page 4. Can't pay, won't pay. This was not what the president said.
Really?
The president began by saying that, or rather acknowledging the fact that we have a situation in Kenya with our health practitioners. That is what he said, that look, good people, we have a situation. This situation spoke to so many things, and now that is where you went into by the debate. We have a historical perspective about the situation in the health sector, that is specifically with regards to the CBA, 2017, 2021, that is what the law says, a CBA is supposed to be a 4-year period. So it means then there is a historical perspective on how to deal with this issue. Remember, health is also a shared function. between the national government and the county government. It is acknowledged by all of us that this is a national disaster. Having doctors on strike, being joined by clinical officers, now with the threat of the nurses that is also appearing at page 4, where they're saying they're going to exit the union if our good friend Yosef Panak does not do much. There is a crisis that is national, that we cannot ignore, that we must invest our mind, our thoughts, and everything to deal with it. And there is now the situation that the president was trying to speak to, that look, acknowledging the fact that we have a situation means we must live within our means. He did not, therefore, dismiss the fact that this is a crisis, and went ahead to say, look, good people, we are collecting, we are using 47% of our collection to pay recurrent, that is salaries. Out of 1.1, out of 2.2, 1.1 goes to recurrent, that is 47%. Therefore, as he is trying to ask our brothers and sisters in the health sector, the practitioners, the doctors, the interns, that look, let us start with the 70,000 that we've offered, that you've put on the table. We deal with this within 1 year. We look at the situation in the country as is, then come back and do additional support in terms of health practitioners. So it is not a can't pay, won't pay situation. It is a whole of the nation appreciation of the fact that there is a problem. And therefore, when Honorable Makani says that it is not a solution to have Honorable Babu Owino's motion be a subject of engagement, despite the possible challenges that he will experience, which of course I must also acknowledge the fact that it's not going to see the light of the day, it is something that does not equally warrant
from the numbers perspective,
a condemnation of the CS. Because we've talked about 19 issues in the strike between the doctors and the government, and all these 19 issues are not necessarily the 70,000 shillings that the president is talking about to be the start of salary, for example. It goes beyond that. So it doesn't then, therefore, fit the bill to say sacking the CS is going to resolve the problem. It does not. And therefore, it's a missed strike by Babu to even commence that conversation about impeachment of the CS. It's not going to survive.
But from your estimation, do you think she's handled the situation very...
from where I sit...
Yes, in the wisest of fashion, because we've had her talking that, we have no choice. If they don't want to actually go back to work, then we have 4,000, 3,000 doctors who are not employed. We have no options but to employ these doctors.
You see, the most unfortunate thing...
I think that has been raising also hesitations, and they are taking umbrage with those statements from the CS.
The most unfortunate thing is the conversion of the conversation to the character of the person. You see, there is an element of blackmail that comes at times also in the course of meetings. Take, for example, who has walked out of the meetings that have been convened by the ministry? It is not the CS. It is the doctors. So when you walk out of the meeting, you must justify why you have done that. One of the ways to justify is, if there was nothing going on at the table, I had no option but to walk out. So let's not land the blame.
How would you react if you were actually meeting a battery of lawyers instead of actually meeting the CS and the requisite government officials within the health sector to discuss that? Because it seems maybe you were preparing for a legal battle while do you flunk yourself with a battery of lawyers?
Remember...
Why wouldn't I walk out? I'll feel intimidated that I have all these lawyers.
No. If you have...
And you had not given me notice to come with my lawyers at the end of the day.
If you have a very good case, if you have a position that is genuine, that is honest, that is defendable, it doesn't matter who appears on the table. Because if we are talking about CBA, it is not a legal jargon that we are going to discuss. Notwithstanding the fact that the CS could have come with 10 plus lawyers, you have a situation to deal which is defendable. It doesn't...
Did she sub-notice that she'll be coming with lawyers?
No, I mean in every negotiation.
Because I'll feel ambushed. Honorable Nyonka, Honorable Ruko, I'll feel ambushed at the end of the day.
In every negotiation, you definitely know that you must carry the relevant people. Among the relevant people are lawyers. That is one of the things that is given. That is a standard requirement for a negotiation. Because look,
and you know, Speaker,
at the time of signing off an agreement or even a proposal to agree, at least there are certain terms and conditions that you cannot overlook. That means you must, at any given time, be available with your lawyer. Lawyers are like doctors. That doctor, again, equally is important. So it's not actually an ambush. It cannot be a justification for them to walk out if they were not notified of going with a lawyer. So I wouldn't want to say that we have missed the target on this one. And I wouldn't also equally say the CS has mishandled the situation. She's done her best in the circumstances.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward to
Honorable Ruku, let's hear from you as well. So this will come on the floor of ours. We heard from the Senator that it will not see the light of day. I don't know from what perspective he's seeing it, maybe from the numerical perspective, or maybe the bill itself does not really hold any water at the end of the day. What is your perspective?
He's in government.
He's in government. That is what you were saying.
The numbers.
Very imperceptibly, imperceptibly, is actually insinuating that they will not see the light of the day, given the numbers. And he's speaking for the Senate as well, so beware. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Thank you, Dipa. I think, first of all, it is important to put into perspective what's happening so that Kenyans can be able to understand properly as far as the issues of the strike is concerned. One, health is one of, or medical services, is one of the essential services in the country. And therefore, deployment of medical officers across the nation is extremely important component for the well-being of the nation. And there are quite a number of essential services, also as security, which is also an essential service, as well as provision of food supplies is an essential service. So medical services is extremely critical to the lifeline of this nation, and it's not something we should be tampered with by anybody. Having noted that, it is important to note when we are talking about the medical interns, we also have, at the same time, we are talking about pharmacists, we are talking about dentists, who want to join this internship program. The government of the Republic has other internship programs. This is not the only internship program which we have. We have, of course, for lawyers, they go for 2 years, pupillage. We have also for architects, and they are paid. So we have to ask ourselves, how much are they paid when they are in the internship? Other professions, like engineers, like architects, like lawyers. We also have a history where we are coming from. 10 years ago, or a decade ago, this nation had 2 medical schools, which were graduating about 100 to 300 graduates in this field of medicine, pharmacists, and dentists. At the moment, we have several medical schools across the nation. And therefore, we have seen almost going by, almost not doubling, going about 5 or so times of what we used to get as graduates from medical schools. At the moment, we have about 1,500 graduates every single year coming from our medical schools. Now, the government has put up a program, and government is saying, we can be able to pay you guys 70,000 per month. And I think it's not a very small amount of money, bearing in mind this is an internship program. And after your internship program, you will join as a medical officer, and you not join as a job group like other professions, like other economists, like engineers, like architects. They join public service at job group N. For medical officers, they join public service at job group K, which earns 258,000 every single month. Now, where the president is coming from, is because a survey has been done on how other interns across other African nations, how much are they paid? If you go to a country like Ghana, they are paying 45,000 per month. If you go to Uganda, it's 50K per month. If you go to Tanzania, it's 66,000. If you go to Nigeria, it's 70,000. And if you go to South Africa, it's a huge amount of money, 206,000. The government of the Republic is saying, guys, we are in a fix as far as our resources are concerned. Let's live within our means. That is exactly what the president said. And therefore, they are offering 70,000 per month. And I think it's reasonable enough for these medical interns to take the opportunity, get trained for 1 year. Once they finish their internship, then they can be able to be employed as medical officers. And the entry job group is Group K, Job Group K. Now, how many are we talking about in this case? We are talking about 1,210. We have medical interns, 849. We have dental interns, 72, and your pharmacists, 289, totaling to 1,210. For heaven's sake, 1,210 should not paralyze the entire health sector of the country. I think it is fair enough. We have a reasoning government. The president has come out clear to say we have deployed 2.4 billion Kenya shilling to facilitate these medical interns to get their letters of posting by 15th of April. That is, when is 15th of April? Next week?
Next Monday.
On Monday.
It's going to be Monday.
So the letter for posting these 1,210 medical interns, the letters are ready by 15th of April for them to go to different medical facilities across the nation so that they can proceed with their training. And by the way, don't forget that the government is working on rolling out universal health care. So in a couple of months, we'll see massive employment of medical doctors across the nation so that they can be able to support universal health care. Remember, a few months ago, the rural, what you're calling health promoters.
Community health promoters.
Community health promoters were deployed across the nation, were given their kits to go in the villages and try to mitigate different symptoms of different diseases across the nation. Also, this is an allocation from government of Kenya. A huge amount of money is going to that program. Government is rolling out universal health coverage program in a few months from now. This will, in a serious way, give an opportunity to all medical officers in the country to be able to be enlisted, to be able to earn money, and provide. So I don't think government is not listening. I don't think government is not offering an unreasonable offer. There is an extremely reasonable offer. Letters for posting should be ready by 15th of April. Already money has been set aside, 2.4 billion. That's not a true amount of money. We know the number which we are talking about, 1,210. I think it's high time, bearing in mind this is an extremely important service to the nation, essential service. It's very important for the medical officers and the entire team of the officials to come back to senses and say, yes, government has risen, it has given 2.4 billion, posting letters will be ready on 15th of April, let's go back to work and serve the Kenyans. But having said that, health is a devolved function. Even when we didn't have the strike, we witnessed many level 4 hospitals, level 5 hospitals, dispensary across the nation not offering what we are expecting as Kenyans. Government has given money to county government. County governments must be able to do their job properly. We are seeing a situation where there is a lot of laxity or lack of commitment as far as provision of medical services within our hospitals, which are manned by county governments. This is not the case in all counties. We have counties which have mastered their act properly and they are doing a good job. But for county government which are not doing proper, job as far as provision of medical services is concerned across the nation in dispensaries, in level 4 hospitals and level 5 hospitals, it is upon the governors to be able to do a good job. Remember, it is the responsibility of the national government as far as level 6 hospitals is concerned. Kenyatta Hospital, Kenyatta University Hospital, Moi Referral in Eldoret, and other level 6 hospitals across the country. These hospitals, we have seen them working. We have not seen them having a crisis. But we are witnessing crisis all over the country when it comes to 5 hospitals, there are 4 hospitals and dispensaries. Why? Because that's a function of county government. So we need to see county government putting their act together and doing a good job for the Republic.
Thank you.
So I think it's fair enough. The president has come out clearly that this amount of money we have, we must be able to live within our means, and the amount of money we have is 2.4 billion Kenyan shilling, which is going to serve 1,210 medical officers, and their letters of posting will be ready on 15th of April.
All right, you've not really commented, but we'll come back to it as well. On the motion. On the motion. So you're eagerly waiting for it to be...
Yes, on the motion. I can assure you there will be no impeachment motion as far as CS Nakhumicha is concerned. That's for a fact. There will be no impeachment motion for the CS Nakhumicha. That is the truth of the matter. Probably what we can say, if the appointing authority, if the president is not...
You speak with so much assurance.
Yeah.
But that you have some inside information we do not really know.
Buruku and my brother Senator Speaker, they are in government. You know, when you're in government, you're always sure of these things, but wait until things turn around. I want to say this, Dibal. I agree with my colleagues halfway through on where this argument is going. To be very honest with you, Kenya is the only country within the East African region which has no employment policy in terms of how we give salary increments to our public service employees. Tanzania, there are 25% every year. All right? For us, it's a hodgepodge of issues between sectors, between departments and all that. Public Service Commission and the Salary Remuneration Commission, you can see the contradictions which are there, even within us as members of the legislature. When you look at what is going on in terms of how the government has performed, I give Honorable Ruku's credit and my colleagues, because the government indeed has laid out, has rolled out the Community Health Workers Program. Those community health workers programs, so far we have not received any complaints in my county in Kisii. I'm constantly monitoring what's going on. So far they've been receiving whatever they needed so that they can start their job. I am hoping that they will start picking the data and giving information that the government needs for primary health care, so that then the policies that the government is going to implement will be much more effective to try and influence and change where we are. Mm-hmm. Where I disagree with my colleagues is that, number one, what they are not saying, because they're in government, is that Madam Nakhumicha happens to have been appointed with the express authority of the Speaker, because of the, I believe, the arrangement that the government had when they were forming government. I believe that my friend and party leader, Honorable Moses Wetangula, must have been asked to give a name of somebody. Number two, what is happening right now is that you can see there's a lot of noise from Western Kenya. There's actually a fight going on right now between the great governor of Trans Nzoia, Honorable Natembea. You see the criticism about the role Honorable Moses Wetangula is playing in Trans Nzoia, and of course Bungoma counties, because those are really the same people. And the feeling that some people are having right now is that by Babu Owino bringing the motion, it actually means that Babu Owino is continuing the war that was there between Wetangula and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. In other words, ODM is now engaging in a war between Ford Kenya and ODM per se, because they know that Wetangula is vulnerable politically on the ground, or because of the noise and the political realignments which are taking place. What I can tell you, like my colleagues have said, I am sure they understand that. That is why they are telling you this thing is not going anywhere. All right?
Article 95. Put the question will come. There will be no debate.
And they know very well that Honorable Wetangula is one of the smartest, if not one of the most interesting politicians I've met in a very long time. I don't see, like they are saying, I completely agree with them. I don't see this thing having a light of day. All right? Unless, if it has the light of day, then the government side would have been told to thank Weta. All right? So this thing is for them to manage. But I would like to say this. I am actually surprised that I've had the senator from Bomet saying that the story that came out in the papers is actually not true. That has really disturbed me. Because if that story is not true, then I would worry. It means that the media is actually not coming out and honestly saying...
I think he has issues with the phraseology that can't pay, won't pay.
But the story is true.
But it's a matter of interpretation.
Okay.
Yeah, the way he interprets it. You know, so
he was interpreting in the government way.
Yeah, he's interpreting the way he deciphers it, yeah, in the government way, I think.
He's interpreting the government.
So it could be a can't pay. Yeah.
So, Dival, what I would like to say is this. I would really wish and hope that the president talks to our doctors. At some point, you see, I've seen it happen. When Kibaki was going to negotiate with the doctors during his term, the president would set the minister engage the doctors. And those issues that were difficult to configure, all right? Because during that time, I remember I was in the coalition government, the president deliberately would engage them personally. How I wish that the president, and I know William Ruto is not a very careless politician. I know that quietly under the table, most probably with soft diplomacy, he is going to look for these doctors and try and talk with them. My hope and wish is that he's talking about 70, the doctors are talking about 200. What is the possibility that in government you people can agree that let us come and take the middle ground? If the doctors are given between 100, 120,000, 140, 50,000, I don't think they would refuse to negotiate. But what is very, very true, and this is what my brother here, Honorable Ruku, has said, I am unable to understand why all governors in the county government, most probably, except Uasin Gishu, except Mombasa, and there are about 4 counties where the governors have directly engaged, and I think it was because of precedent, because Joho handled his health sector workers very well.
And Tharaka Nithi as well.
Tharaka Nithi as well. You have about 5-6 counties that are moving on. All right?
Including Moranga's.
Muranga,
right,
yes, Muranga is doing well. And my point, and this is where I'm agreeing with, can the governors begin to treat the health sector with the importance it deserves? I can tell you in Kisii County, we've been having issues with the doctors about their remuneration, excessive victimization, transfers. Somebody goes, he's trained by the county government before the current governor comes in. This man is actually trained and he does a master's degree in surgery. And he comes and he's actually made to work at the theater. After Governor Ongwae left, and we have a new governor, Honorable Simbarati, what is happening is many of the doctors will tell you that some of them are being transferred to departments where they have no specialty. That somebody who's supposed to do pharmacy is transferred to a local clinic, which is at level 3, to go and deal with something else completely that they never even went to school to do. Medicines, even when we are aware and we know the challenges in terms of how much money do we need to buy medicines from KEMSA and make sure that the public health centers have got the best medicines that can help our people. The medicines are not bought. The public display of what some of these governors do, they just go, have the vehicle come, which is got labeled KEMSA, pictures are taken, and that is where the end of the story. Own source revenues, which are coming from the health sector, which are being collected in these facilities, some of it is actually not doing what it's supposed to do. Some of it is going into waste. I mean, these are very critical, very serious issues, which I believe within the Senate, we must begin to re-engage ourselves. And in a very serious matter, if the county governments are not able to deal with the health sector at the primary level, let the governors tell the national government to take back these facilities. Rosafi. Because where we are today, it is true, like my brother has said, it is some of the governors who are mismanaging the health sector. It is some of the governors who are actually, some of them who are not prepared mentally and academically to be able to understand that you don't micromanage a doctor. That a doctor has got his program, that a surgeon does specific purposes. If this surgeon was trained and he has gone and done a master's degree using public county money, all right? They are using county money to go for this training. They are trained for the 5 years or 4 years. They come back. And then when a governor comes in, he starts to transfer these doctors haphazardly, without decorum, without the laid down procedures in the health sector. And within that facility, if, for example, it's in case it would be KTRH, then there is something dysfunctionally wrong with how our political leadership understands the health sector, the education sector, because these are the foundations, Dibal, that we need to change our country. So even when the national government could be getting blame from us, we also must begin to challenge our governors who even belong to our political parties. And that is why I'm very happy with the oversight teams which are being set up by from the Senate, and we are cascading this to the ground level. We must begin to have people who can walk to a health facility and see how clean it is, and make sure there are medicines in it, to ask why we don't have water in a health facility. Why are we having some health facilities that are handling on a monthly basis close to 300 or 400 people, and yet they have no mortuaries? Well, what is it? We went to Isiolo the other day, and the mortuary doesn't work. And of course, the people in Isiolo who live there, you've got Muslims and non-Muslim, and somebody had the audacity to tell me that the reason why we have no mortuary is because the Merus and the Embus and these other people, those ones are not our people. Muslims, they die and they are buried exactly the same day. Can you imagine that audacity? That is what somebody is telling me as a senator, and I'm listening to that. And I was like, what if somebody, or even a tourist, was traveling?
You should actually qualify that by saying that was a comment from the county government.
Exactly, that was a comment from the county. Yes, that is that is a comment that we received as a team of senators when we were in Isiolo. And then the governor has the audacity to say that it is none of our responsibility to ask him why his county is running down on health, is running down on markets, is running down on stadia. Everything is in helter-skelter. And he has the audacity to threaten us. That why did we even go to ask him those questions?
All right. Let's put it into perspective.
Can we go sequentially? We'll come to you. We'll go to also Hormo Makali as well. So the idea is, since this is so dysfunctional within the county government, it should go back to the national government.
Not really. If we find that the Council of Governors and the teams that are from the county government and our leadership at the county governments are not willing to solve these problems because funds are coming from the national government under devolved funds, what then should we do?
But these funds has been coming also in drips and drops. It's not that, we've been having, the Council of Governors themselves have said we don't have the money.
I'm not defending the government.
Yeah.
Even when the funds have come in late, those funds are cascaded onto the CRF account. The funds never go back to the national government. So even when Exchequer releases, and this is a matter we are dealing with right now at the Senate, even when those releases are late and they come slowly, the point I'm making is when the governors get this money, including some of them who are receiving on-source revenue from health facilities, and what are they doing? They are collecting all this money from all these primary healthcare facilities and then taking it to the centralized system. And they put the money at the, if it's the KTRH, they put the money at the KTRH, and all these small facilities are unable even to be able to have electrical bills paid. And they are collecting revenue.
Honorable Wakali, your reaction, even as we wind up on the health issue?
You know, Debal, I think what we're doing is we are raising quite some fundamental issues related to the health sector, both at the national level and at the county level. And just speaking from where Honorable Onga has left, it is the issue of our own analysis of where we are matters health sector at the county level. I think the areas they have done well, the areas have not done well. And I think what we need is what I'll call for is proper evaluation of the performance to date, and look at areas where we've not done very well so that we can isolate those ones and have a national conversation as to whether do we need to push this back to the national government or do we leave it at the county level. But let's also not forget about that. When health was centralized at Nairobi, we also had a lot of issues at the grassroots. So let's not see a Minister of Health as a solution to all our problems. I think they are also their own challenge. And I think to be fair to the processes, can you look at what is not working and then discuss that? For example, the issue of the human resource management, both at the national level and at the county level, I think that's a matter which keeps on coming every year, year in, year out. And it's a matter we need to make a decision as to whether do we need a commission like we have a TSC for the health workers,
yes,
so that once that formed, then we have a commission based in Nairobi, which takes care of all HR issues for health workers in the country, so that the work of the county remains just posting them. That you have this number, they have been posted to your county, can you post them to the different health facilities? But I don't want a situation where we just go general, because if you go general, then we will not be helping this country. The other thing is, I've had my friend, Honorable Roku, comparing payment of interns in different countries. And we need to be very careful when we compare salaries in different countries. Because what informs salaries in any country is also the cost of living. And I don't think like the cost of living in South Africa would be the same as cost of living in Uganda or in Kenya. So to me, you need to compare, when you are comparing salaries, you need to be very fair to the process, so that it doesn't look like our interns in Kenya are just being people who are not realistic. They want to be paid more when their neighbors in Uganda here, they are being paid less. But at the end of the day, you must compare. How much does it take to live in Uganda for you to determine how much to pay somebody? Because you need to compensate workers so that they're able to live, even if not comfortably, basic living, so that they're not suffering. The other matter which is critical, and I think this is now where the issue I was saying earlier, Debao. I think the point I was bringing where I was saying, these doctors and the clinical officers and the lab technicians can sustain this thing for 2 years is because, for example, we are dealing with the teachers now. More likely, some of them will now be saying, you know, we are striking, but now we can't pay our loans in the banks, we can't do this, because their pay slip is, you know, is very squeezed. And more likely, they might not be having another source. So these doctors we are dealing with are people who are getting money from the other source. And I was saying, what I was driving to, as I was looking at that matter, is that the government has no room to close the doors for negotiation. Yes. Because if they close the doors for negotiation, I can tell you for sure, Kenyans will continue dying. These doctors will continue enjoying the life they have been enjoying. And if not, they might not be enjoying more than they have been enjoying. Because now they have more time to do their work in the private clinics. So can we encourage the government to open doors? When we are saying Nakhumicha needs to resign or might need to pay for somebody else, it's not that we are pushing all the blame to him, but we are saying him being the CS in charge of health, she's the one who has the mandate. She's the one who has the mandate to manage that docket. And our work should be to brief the president on what is possible and what is not possible, and where you need intervention of the projects, the president, or where you don't need. The heart of delegation. If you look at the whole policy around delegating responsibilities, there are some things you can delegate to a lower office, and there are things you need to an higher office. So the thing is, things which can be done by the lower level, can they do them and then isolate those ones which the president might need to come in? But when we hear president saying that we have no budget for doctors, as if doctors are the only factor contributing to the huge wage bill, it's unfair. The huge wage bill in this country of 7%, doctors might only be contributing 1 or 2%. The 98% from other. So you can't tell me because I'm a doctor and I want my issues to be looked at, then you are telling me you can't add me a salary because the wage bill is huge. Yeah. As if I'm the only 100% contributor to the wage bill. So these are the issues I'm saying. If we go that direction, then we are closing the doors and we might not go far. The other thing, if you look at the 19 issues, there are some of the issues which have financial implication. There are others which might need administrative action. Why can't we isolate those ones with the administrative action and negotiate with the doctors and say, these ones, because they don't have a financial implication, can we just discuss with them and say, so that you tell them out of the 19, we can allow you, we can now give you now 5. So can you, then you doctors, because you know the economic situation, allow us, then for the financial ones, to push them for another 3-4 months till the economy improves. Because the word is always till the economy improves. So in that case, then they will be saying, at least you have given us something. And then they can go back to their people and tell them, we know the situation, the government has given us these 3, can you please take this, go back to work, and then from there, we'll continue negotiating for the others. In that case, we'll be saving lives, and at the same time, making progress. Now, we are not making any progress. We are not saving lives. People are dying. And I said earlier, and I want to repeat it, once a life is lost, it's lost. You can't get it back. And I'm telling you, that's what worries me as a leader. That we are discussing human life. We are not discussing people's being at home.
All right, but the buck stops with the president. He has spoken. So
and
what
then,
next?
Yeah, that's what we are saying now. On that note, you know, when he speaks, that's the final. You might not want to hear it, Senator Gay, but that's the head of the state. That's the head of state. When he speaks, he speaks.
Yeah,
it's not like when Gay speaks because there's room to go to his boss. Now this is the boss speaking.
The boss has spoken.
Yeah,
Nakhumicha has no wiggle room, no wiggle room completely.
Cannot contradict his boss.
The boss has spoken. So we need to ask now, where do we go to? Because I said yesterday I was in a church function, and I said, I told Kenyans, what has happened is now, you know, we are actually telling Kenyans there's no hope. And if you look at what is happening currently, I'm sure you go to church. And some of the churches, we are saying now they're giving the gospel hope. So that you tell somebody, even though now today you are riding a bicycle, tomorrow in another 5 years to come, if you plant a seed, you'll be driving a Prado. So the president should give Kenyans hope. Even when there's a situation of hopelessness, you need to give Kenyans hope.
If you plant a seed in the Hustler Fund,
we have a problem the way we
need to take a short break.
And the semantics on what statements one makes and how we interpret it. The president, when he said that, look, we have a situation, let us sit down and talk. This is what we have on the table. This is the situation in the country. Let us retreat and have a national conversation. Actually, he made reference to 15th and 17th of this month, where he says we will need to have a conference so that Kenyans can understand that it's not about being the final say with regards to matters of national importance. I mean, he gave hope, by the way, that we've offered 2.4 billion. We've offered 70. Let's take it for the period that we are struggling to sustain the situation in the country. And so it's not about our inability to contradict, by the way, Senator Nyong'o. It is us to say, what is it that he says? What do we do? This conversation is very important. I've just been reading an article over one of my area MCAs in one ward out of the 25 wards in Bomet, called Chemaner ward. He offered this Pro Box as an ambulance. He offered it because of what Onyonka said. We have had our county governments failed in matters health management. They are unable to do the roads accessible to the health sectors. The facilities literally have got no doctors, nurses, facilities.
They're dirty.
And it is a non-issue for them every other time, because I'm sure what this Honorable MCA, Member of County Assembly, is saying is that, look, I offered it as a rescue vehicle because we have local clinics or dispensaries, but are devoid of medical facilities, drugs, nurses, and everything. What does that tell you? Someone has abdicated his role, or someone has literally decided to own source revenue that is supposed to be plowed back into the facility is being diverted elsewhere. We have a big problem. And that is why when you listen to this conversation, we have somehow lumped much of the blame, much of the challenges to the national government, when we are equally aware that there is an aspect that the county governments must play, such that when we talk about the 19 items in the table that were meant to be discussed, how many of these items are centralized, that is the national government, and how many are those which are meant to be done by the county government? We've been given examples of county governments that have properly attempted to manage their health sector. Muranga, Tharaka-Nithi, and the rest that were named. Why is it that they have been able to have some stability? It is because of how they have handled it. But the rest, they've decided, you know what? They have an option to shift blame. They've shifted that blame. They've decided to be quiet, and we've completely lost it.
Thank you.
Corruption at the county levels.
I'm due for a station break right now. I will come to you, Honorable Thuku. But even, Ruko, as we look and discuss about this issue of monies, there has been question on also government's priority, especially in allocating these funds. A lot of funds has been going to renovation, right? Talk about State House and other sectors. We had a publication, I think, last Friday as well. If we just look at it briefly as we take a short break, why would the government be spending so much also on supply of digital watch? 750,000. This is State House. If you can look there, we have 3 million there. We have heavy-duty branded umbrellas, right? I'm here to know these heavy-duty branded umbrellas. What are they? Are they bulletproof as well? And you can see this is 3 million. These are some of the things that I wanted just to discuss as well. We have 648,000 Kirinyaga County Governor's Office chair, right? It's whether it's got a massaging parlor inside of it. I'm here to know. You can tell us as well. We have also carpet replacement at that particular figure as well. In Kenya Ports Authority, we have Homa Bay County hiring Cheska for governor's motorcade for 1 month. Right?
500.
At that particular figure. Seriously, if we're a country that we are really serious regarding austerity measures, why would we go
are unable to pay our
this?
doctors.
You're unable to pay your doctors. You say, can't pay, won't pay. That is what Honorable Ambassador doesn't want to hear. Which what can't pay, won't pay. Right? We want to take a short break. When we circle back, we should come back with that as well. Right? So this was on Friday. This was on Friday. Yeah. So Sige, do you see what we're talking about now? Why do you need all State House officers with a digital watch? I mean, I fail to understand. I have your phone here, you have your laptop. You still need a digital watch. We are having this neurosis on how we can actually spend the money. There is money, but we don't know how to spend it. We don't know how to spend it. Why would you go for a 10 million, watch as well? You as even a public officer, and people were questioning, where did you get this 10 million shillings to buy a watch as well? From your own resource, can you go and purchase? Well, I don't know. Maybe it depends also with your taste as well. We'll take a short break. You're watching Standpoint here on Morning Prime.